This is Kristin.
And I'm Steve, and you're listening to Cycling Together, a show about all things bikes, riding, and riding together.
Welcome to our another new setup. Trying this.
We're going to just keep rotating around different setups.
Exactly. I'm enjoying it.
For those of you seeing us on video.
See us on video. Yes, We're trying in the guest room without a table. We'll see if we like this. Anyway, by the time we post the show, you, my friend, will be back from a big adventure. Where are you going on Tuesday?
I am going to Iceland, which oddly enough is my second time going to Iceland to ride my bike.
And why are you riding your bike?
I'm going to an event called the Rift.
Yes.
And the Rift is a gravel race. It's one of those races that, you choose whether to race or to not race, just to ride.
Got it.
There are
just riding with friends with numbers on our bicycle.
Yeah, exactly. And there's two lengths. There's a 140K or a 200K. So it's about 87 miles or 125 miles.
Okay.
Most of us, and because I'm going with a large group of guys who I ride with around here. And most of us are doing the short version, which is like the 87 miles or so.
Just
87
miles.
Yeah, it should take about 8 hours on the bike, and it was sort of like that's enough.
It does sound enough. Yeah. And we're gonna talk more about your prep and traveling. That's gonna be, I think, the primary theme of today's show is gonna be preparing to ride your bike in faraway places, but you nearly
2 weeks ago
did
I was not going.
And why is that? What happened?
I got Lyme disease.
Yeah, but it was so weird how it manifested because you had a sore shoulder.
I had a sore shoulder since early May.
Yes. Yep. Went to the Minute Clinic.
On a Sunday.
Yep.
Because it was bothering me more that day.
And it looked like you had like a spider bite on it or something, like a bug bite, infected zit. You had something there.
Yeah,
too.
I did. Yeah, that's right.
Right?
Yep. On top. Yes.
And on top of the shoulder. So
yes.
So you went to the Minute Clinic and they thought you had shingles.
Yeah.
That you had a break, but just a little bit of shingles because you had the shingle vaccine. So
right.
it was just a little bit of breakthrough. So that seemed reasonable. And there's nothing you do about that.
No.
And then 2 weeks ago, you started it escalated so fast.
So
my shoulder's a little sore to I'm in agony.
Yeah. Over the course of 48 hours, I went to just complete agony, high levels of pain. Not being able to sit down, lay down.
Yeah. It was in your shoulder.
Not being able to sleep in the bed.
Traps. Your neck.
Yep.
So
couldn't turn my neck, couldn't lift my arm. Yep.
This is where you also realize how hard it is to, with the medical system that we have, it's like, he's in agony. Well, we can see you in 4 days. Fortunately, we have a very good friend and doctor who could see you right away. She's our back doctor. She's the one who helped you with the back. So she got us in very quickly. And it was interesting watching her assess you because you looked very crooked. You looked crooked. You were holding yourself crooked. And she kept saying, none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. So she did push some lidocaine into your trapezoidal area to release that, which then showed that your shoulder was still probably the problem.
Yeah.
And then
and that at least let me sleep a little.
Right. And then we got the Lyme test.
And she's like, we have to do a Lyme test too because this is weird.
Yeah. So it turns out it was Lyme.
Which Lyme tests take days.
Days.
Yeah, they are not immediate.
Right. Which landed us right on a holiday, right? July 4th, trying to figure out how to get medication, how to, again, grateful to our friend Dana, who all helped us make it happen. And so you're on the mend. You're 2 weeks.
As soon as I started taking the doxycycline, it was immediate relief, basically. I mean, you take two a day, and every single 12-hour period, I could tell you the improvements that I had made.
But it's terrifying. I mean, at one point she was talking about sending you in to the ER for a neurological exam. And we had a customer on Saturday when I was working who was telling me all about how he had been admitted to the hospital for neurological issues related to Lyme. So now I know more about Lyme than I did, which is a good reminder. Our friend Alex sent me, because she was witness to all this because we were in Duxbury while it was happening. She found an article about Lyme and Lyme prevention and some of the things that we can do. So it was from Peter Attica, MD. So obviously checking yourself for ticks, which you do all the time.
Well, every time, I'll go through a field while riding, and then at the end of the field, I'll be like, okay, I just went through a bunch of grass. Let me check my legs.
Yes.
And occasionally you're like, oh, there's a little guy.
Anders found one
Flick
today.
him off.
We went for a mountain bike ride, and as he got in the car, he found one and flicked it out of the window.
Yep.
So, but prevention is the best medicine. Here's the thing. So they say when you are headed into tick territory, which we live in the middle of, that you should think about light colored clothing and long sleeves and long pants. That's real tough thinking about riding my mountain bike.
That's just
with
not
long sleeves and long pants. That's really not going to happen. Yeah. So light colored clothing, EPA registered repellents, basically use DEET.
Yeah, it's a high amount of DEET. I think it's over 25-30% you need.
Yep. Do those daily checks. They also talked about how you can treat some of your gear with something called permethrin.
Yeah, I heard about that.
You can put on your. It doesn't help with your body. You cannot apply it to your body. That's what the DEET's for. But if you like your pack, your. I wonder how long anyway.
Something to look at.
Good reminder that Lyme is super scary, and there's other tick-borne things like the one where you can become allergic to meat.
Yep, that's from a Lone Star tick. I don't know if that's around here, but something to look
the
at.
other thing. There was this article which I'll put in the show notes had a couple of links, like you could see in your part of the country where like what ticks were prevalent, what level they were at, what the danger was, and they even had a little form that you could fill out that said like where are you, did you see a tick, or did you get a tick on you, how long was it on, what should you do, and then it took you through the steps to say you're probably fine, or you should wait and see, or you should consult your medical professional. So anyway, tis the season.
So
anyway,
we did find it just in time to get better.
So that
I can go to Iceland.
So you could go to Iceland for what we are going to call type 2 fun. Alex used the term type 2 fun you can't cheat with the show notes. Use the term type 2 fun during the last podcast. And I will confess, I just went right over that because we were in the middle of the conversation. But I realized when she sent me another link that I had no idea what she was talking about when she said type 2 fun. Did you? Do you know what type 2 fun is?
Had I heard the term? Yes, but I guess I've never really dived into what the meaning is.
So from an article from REI, type 1 fun is enjoyable while it's happening, also known as simple fun. Good food, sport climbing, powder skiing, margaritas.
Got it.
I guess if you have too many margaritas, you end up in type 2 fun.
Should you really mix sport climbing and margaritas? I don't know.
Not together. Those are individual fun things. They're just fun. They're good fun.
Sure.
Type 2 fun is miserable while it's happening, but fun in retrospect. Usually begins with the best intentions and then things get carried away.
Is this REI's definition?
REI wrote this article.
So
no, I think that's the idea. The idea was we were talking about how with Alex and Jason, like the cycling, she didn't like cycling until it became harder. And that's when she was like,
until it can't be type 2.
Right. Until and then it turned out she likes type 2.
We have talked about this, because cyclists put ourselves through a lot of different events that are hard.
Yes.
And then when you get to the end, you go, yeah, we're coming back next year.
Yes.
So that's the type 2 fun. But I don't know if I would call it miserable while it's happening. I think that term is off.
I don't know. I would say there
challenging
were moments,
while it's happening.
Okay, I'll go challenging. But there have been moments like with Recipe Pizza or even the last P2P where I was miserable for a couple of moments. It doesn't mean I don't want to go back to it.
Right.
It does mean I don't want to do it the same way. You know, make sure my equipment's better. Or and then there's type 3 fun, which is just no fun at all. Not even in retrospect. Afterward, you think, what the hell was I doing? If I ever come up with another idea, that's stupid. Somebody slapped some sense into me. That's type 3 fun.
Oh.
So
for me,
that's what she means by type 2
So
fun.
like I am not a huge big distance rider. So, so I would say the Rift in Iceland is going to be type 2 fun.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And although I wouldn't say miserable while it's happening, I would say challenging while it's happening.
Hopefully not miserable while it's happening.
But if I were to do the 125 mile version, that would start kicking me into type 3
fun.
Right? Because that's where there is a point where I get to on a very, very long distance ride where it's like, I don't want to be sitting on this saddle anymore. My butt hurts. My hands are maybe a little hurting. Right. I'm starting to bonk. I just want to. I'm done.
I want to be anywhere but on this bicycle right now.
And so that's why we're doing the shorter version, because we wanted it to be type 2 fun. Get to the end, enjoy the after party.
Right.
Yes.
I did ask you if you've ever wanted to do like Tour Divide, which is many, right? And you have said no. Or if you wanted to do, what was the one, Unbound XL or whatever the thing that just happened.
Even like the Unbound at 200 miles. That doesn't interest me. That's too much. Too much. Would I do the shorter 100-mile Unbound? Sure.
So you think,
as our friend Jeff said, though, are you really doing Unbound? Do you have to put an asterisk next to that? You kind of do. Leadville's 100 miles. I would do Leadville, and that's been on my bucket list. Yeah.
I will say I'm not a big fan of it's kind of like, well, I'm just doing day 1 of the PMC. I just want to say, you're doing the PMC.
Yes.
I'm just doing the 50. You're doing the 50. Anyway, we can debate this with Jeff when he comes on the show, because he'll be on our next episode. So let's talk about you traveling.
Okay.
We're going to you're traveling, and let's talk about, you're bringing your bike, your gravel bike.
Yes, I'm bringing my gravel bike.
Right. And but when you went to Iceland before, you didn't bring a bike. You rented
we did not.
Mountain bikes.
Nope.
How do you decide?
I have opinions on this.
Good thing I asked you.
Okay. So here's my opinion about traveling with a bike.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
Road bikes, if you're going somewhere to road ride.
Yes.
And you can rent, now a lot of places you can go to road ride. And assuming you're either you're going with an outfitter or a tour company, or you're going someplace that has shops and facilities that are cater to bike tourism. Usually you can get a very nice road bike. So all you need to bring is your pedals and your measurements, and you are set up. Renting the bike there is usually a good way to go.
Okay.
So then let's go on to gravel.
Yes.
So in terms of Iceland, like gravel, you probably have very specific setup. And you're going to want the certain bags that you have on your bike. You need extra, I guess, gear in a lot of ways. You need to be prepared for a few extra things, and whether it's like tubeless plugs and a little bit more potential mechanical issues. So you want that kind of stuff, which you can bring with you and put on a rental bike. But then there's tire choice and tire size. Is
I was going to say,
huge part of gravel.
Rent gravel bikes?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't even know.
Yep. I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So there, I would say you tend to be more bringing
their
your
bikes.
bike.
Okay.
Yep. And then mountain bike. So you're right. When I went to Iceland the first time, we went and we used Ice Bike. So they are a tour company outfitter who just basically takes you on excursions to ride mountain bikes, and they had all the bikes.
Yes.
And that worked out quite well. So this is where it gets a little bit. Mountain bikes are also very personal in terms of how you're riding them and what you're used to. And so the more technical terrain you're probably doing, the more you're going to want to bring your mountain bike, your own mountain bike. But this is going to come into sort of, I guess, what you're really going to do.
So we went to Switzerland and we brought our bikes.
We did, and it was super expensive.
To bring our bikes?
It was at the time. I don't know if it's as expensive anymore. A lot of airlines have reduced fees on that.
We're going to talk about that next. But we did bring them, I think, because we were moving around a lot. We were going to different parts of the country
in a rental car.
We could rent a bike in Zermatt and bring it to the other places. Right. So we would have had to rent multiple places. And I did like the idea of that this is my bike. Yes. And it takes me a little bit to get used to my bike. So I liked bringing it. I have rented. I went to Austin once for a conference, and I rented.
If you're going for a conference and you just want to, I want to get out for a spin.
I brought my shoes. I brought my pedals. I rented a mountain bike. I rented a hardtail mountain bike. It was a little weird because you're like, this is not my bike. I don't ride a hardtail. That was the other thing. It was very kind of weird to be, and it wasn't non-technical, right? Like it was pretty techie where I went, but it was nice to have that option that if you're just going to go somewhere, you can rent a bike. And
when we went to Switzerland, I did look around at the different towns we're going to be at. And I didn't really see the bikes that we want, like they were appropriate or they didn't show like our size or whatever it was. And it was sort of, okay, I'm not going to, again, as you said, we are also going from town to town. So,
right. Okay. So how do I get my bike there? You're flying your bike.
I am flying the bike on Iceland Air.
And you're putting
They did have a decent fee. It was $180 round trip to fly with the bike, which is more than a lot of domestic airlines now where it's just basically a checked bag fee, which is usually, what, 50, 60.
What do you put it in?
So I have EVOC bags.
Yes.
We have EVOC bags.
We do.
Yeah. And this is what we took to Switzerland, and I love them. And I rent these out at the shop, and everybody has had no problems on all their trips who have rented them.
Yep.
So with the EVOC bag, both wheels come off. The bike goes in the center of the bag. The wheels go on the outside in pouches, basically sort of protecting the bike in the middle. And it's a soft-sided bag.
But you don't have to put. How much do you have to put? Like, do I have to take my handlebars off? Like, how much do I need to be able to dismantle, or remantle?
The seat post comes out.
Okay.
Ooh. The pedals come off. And the handle. So you can do it in two ways with the handlebar. You can take the handlebar off of the stem, and then that kind of gets tucked down to the side. Or you can take the stem off of the fork and keep the handlebar on and tuck that whole system down.
Okay. Because they are still attached by cables.
That can just depend on the setup of your bike and which way you do the front.
Can you put other stuff in that bag, like your shoes, your helmet, or what else?
It depends on the weight limit, and this is where travel bike bags, you really have to look at what you're getting. So I know some people have hard-sided ones, and those will theoretically protect the bike better, but they weigh a lot more. And depending on the airline, some airlines have 50-pound weight limits. And if you have a 25-pound case or bag...
Oh, before it's empty.
You now basically are sometimes lucky to just get the bike in and meet the 50 pounds.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And especially with a mountain bike.
Yes.
Right? Now, with a road bike, usually you're under 20. But with Iceland Air, it was actually 70 pounds. So with that kind of, with my gravel bike, which is under 20, and the EVOC bag, which is under 20, it's probably around, I have to wait it, but it's probably about 15. Then that gives me, I'll put my shoes in there, my helmet, bike tools. I'll stuff all of my gels into the bags in there. I mean, and I gear kit I'll put in there. I mean, basically everything I can fit into that bag will just go into that bag.
And the nice thing about that EVOC bag is it does roll really nicely. Yeah. Like it travels. You've got your bag, your backpack, and you've got this big bike bag, but it's very nimble. It's a nice bag. But say you don't have a bag, you can't rent a bag. Can you just use a bike
You
box?
can. Yes, you can take a bike box on a plane. So the biggest thing about a bike box is that what are you going to do with it at the end? So you're going to, you get to the airport and you're going to probably need a cart. to get it,
for
just
it,
to get it to the
exactly.
check-in. Then
Unless
you're
there's check-in
then you're gonna need a cart to get it out
Right.
of the airport.
Right.
Then what are you gonna do when are you have like a rental car? Are you just getting on like a hotel bus? Or that could be a problem.
Right.
So you can see like because it's a lot bigger than the evac bag.
And what if it's subject to inspection? Right, because I mean they can try to open a
They can. Oh yeah,
bag
absolutely,
all
and that
the time.
definitely happens.
It has happened.
Yes.
So what
Yep.
would happen if they tried to open your box that's been like taped within an inch of its life?
I don't. I'm assuming this has happened. I'm assuming that they've
Somebody has experienced this.
opened up the tops of these boxes and
Right.
hopefully they're taping it back down.
Right.
But
How much would it be to ship it? Did you ever think of shipping it? Like I know a lot of people use bike flights to ship.
shipping domestically could make sense.
Okay.
So shipping it to your destination.
Yeah, so
Yep.
like bike flights
Yep.
has a program that you can ship, if I understand it, that you can ship like you. I could bring you my bike.
Yep.
Say I'm going out to Unbound. Can you pack this up for me? You charge me for that, of course. And then you ship it by bike flights to a shop on the other end.
Yep.
And then they put it together.
Right.
So
That
there would be an extra fee for
costs
that.
way more than flying with your bike in a
Okay.
bag.
But could
Yeah.
it be safer?
Bags are
for
expensive
your-
though, but
Yeah, but could it be safer for your bike? Like, what's the risk to the bike getting chucked into?
I think that there's probably more hands and more transfers if you ship it than there is if you fly with it. So
Okay.
I don't think there's a greater risk either way.
Right.
But right nowadays, UPS to ship a bike in a box is usually over $100 each
Okay.
way, right? And if you take it to a shop to get packed up, you could be looking at $100 just to get it packed up because
Right.
it does take quite a bit of time.
Yeah.
So that's usually why you're better off trying to do it yourself if you can.
Yep.
But if for a lot of domestic airlines now it's just a check bag, so now you're only looking at $50, $60 each way.
Right.
So you can see how it could be a lot cheaper to fly.
Yeah, but I could also see why it would be convenient to ship it.
Well, so here's a good one about the bike box. So
Yes.
So our friend Bob, he was just in Spain,
Yes,
right?
he was
and
doing other ridiculous things on bikes.
right. So the two of them, they got rid of their bike boxes when they got there, put the bikes together in the airport, and rode out of the airport.
Right, and then
Right.
where did they travel?
And then, so they did what's called the El Camino Trail, which is
Okay.
across, starts in basically south of France and then across northern Spain.
so they couldn't bring the boxes with
So
them.
then they had to, and then they had called ahead at I believe a decathlon somewhere in Spain to ask them to put boxes out for them. And then there was a whole thing. I guess Bob had to walk like 5 miles to go get to this decathlon or something to get the boxes, but they were broken down. So then he had to find a store to get tape so he could put reassemble the boxes, which were flat
Right.
packed.
And
or
this
whatever.
was just so he could put them on a plane to go home.
Yes,
He was not
yes.
shipping them. He just couldn't. They're
Right.
they're not going to take them as is.
Right.
So, yeah, it's a bit of logistics. It's kind of like when Chris finished the Tour Divide, right? He got to the end, and now you got to find somewhere to. You
Yeah.
get to the border.
Yep.
You're like, yay! I finished it. Okay, I'm gonna go find somewhere to pack up my bike. To find a box
Yeah.
somewhere. So
The
certainly challenging.
The evac bag has these sort of rigid fiberglass stays that you put in,
Yeah.
that it retains its shape, but you can just pull those out easily, and then it flat packs sort of down to its base.
Yes, but you still wouldn't.
So you could fit it into if you had to, you could take your bike out and then compress the case down to get it into a vehicle somehow.
Right, but you're not bringing it on the El Camino.
No,
trip.
no.
That's a different.
And of course, if you're flying into a different place than you're flying out, that's why they couldn't keep a box. Yep.
Right. I guess you could pack the bag flat. You could ship that to your final destination.
Ooh.
And when you get there,
yes.
it would be waiting for you, and you could pop it out. But then you're only shipping the flat Evox bag,
Yeah.
unless you didn't know where you were going to end up.
You just came up with a new idea.
Oh, there you go. Always thinking about logistics. What are some things you should think about when you're traveling that maybe you would plan on taking that you can't?
That I can't take with me?
Yeah.
Oh, CO2 cartridges. So you can't fly with CO2 cartridges.
You're welcome.
If you search this on the internet, you're going to see people say, "Oh, I had CO2 cartridges in my check bags," and like sometimes just say, "Nah, they never found them. They got through. I have them."
Okay.
Or other times you're like, "Oh, yeah, they found them and they took them out."
Yes.
So it's one of those cases.
What's the risk? Why can't I bring a CO2 cartridge? with
Because
me?
it's compressed gas. It's technically explosive, if you will, if the thing were to burst.
Okay.
That brings up this, I guess, old myth and about deflating your tires.
Oh.
There's an application for it in the past. So the airlines will say, like, if you're bringing your bike, please deflate the tires and that kind of thing.
Oh.
So
because of the pressure?
Because of the pressure.
The pressure in the okay.
Yes, but
Got it.
nowadays with modern bikes, where we're not, even road bikes nowadays are not going over 75 psi in most cases.
Yep.
My gravel bike is going to be at 25. So if even in a fully unpressurized cargo hold at 50,000 feet, the increase in pressure is about 9 psi.
Okay.
So it's not. This is not something that's going to affect really any tire.
What's the downside to doing it?
I was going to say in the old days, if you had like a track bike and you're at 200 psi, right, and then it could be a situation where you could blow off the rim, I suppose, especially with old tires and old rims. But
okay, but
back in the day,
is the issue now you're tubeless?
Yep.
Which means you got goo in there.
Yep.
So if you deflate them, could you end up with goo all over your bike bag?
No. So you don't want to deflate them all the way.
Okay.
So
Why not?
I will probably do it anyway. I'll probably take them down to 20 psi, and then they're good.
Okay.
Right.
So not totally flat, but not rideable.
So I'll have a hand pump on my bike because we can't bring CO2. Now, one of our friends is going to try to find some CO2 cartridges in Reykjavik when we get there.
I still
try to buy a 20-pack or something,
You just
hand them out.
ship them to yourself to an Amazon locker in Reykjavik. There's got to be an Amazon locker that you could be like, it's probably one at the airport.
We can look. I can look to see if there's Amazons in Reykjavik. They don't have McDonald's there. I don't know if they have Amazon there.
Well,
It seems like that kind of place.
It seems
No Amazon.
no Amazon in the entire island.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's true, kudos,
Right.
Iceland.
Yeah.
I think that would be awesome. What else? Do you pack any extra stuff, like extra shoes, or do you just one and done? You know me, I would have like 2 pairs of mountain bike shoes, and I would have.
No, I'm not going to pack extra shoes.
Okay.
Although with 70-pound weight limit, I could technically throw an extra pair of shoes.
Shoes for everyone.
I don't know if there's a need for that.
What's the weather going to be? What's the
Iceland in the summertime is typically in the 50s. They are supposed to be having a heat wave next week. So we could be looking at like 61, 62 degrees, which is just going to be balmy.
That's weird.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's typically the weather. And the weather changes rapidly and often there.
And the other thing back on the traveling with the bike, you found out inadvertently is that there was a limit on the number of bikes that could go on each flight.
Yes.
Which I guess you wouldn't normally have to worry about, except you've got all these people. I mean, this is a pretty popular.
This is a big event. So you
Right.
have people flying in from all over the place. And Boston is I don't want to call it it's probably like a hub-ish for Iceland Air. If you're coming from I don't know how many direct flights there are from a lot of
Right.
places in the United States. So it's very, very, possible that you're flying through Boston to get
Right.
to Iceland. And so, yep.
Somebody clued you into that.
Yeah, when I booked the tickets, there was nothing about
A limit.
no, there was nothing about booking a bike separately.
Oh.
And
Right.
it was only a couple weeks ago I said, is that check bag, my one check bag allowance, does that include my bike? And I went on the website and I looked and was like, oh no, you have to. That's when I found you had to pay for your your bike. And it was way more expensive if you did it under a week from your trip.
Right.
So I put out on our Slack group to all the guys going to Iceland. I said, "Oh, you should book your bike if you haven't done that."
Yeah.
And then somebody came in and said, "Oh, each plane only has a limit of 10 bikes." So, and it was either him or somebody he knew had to change their flight because they were out of space for bikes. And then everybody was panicking.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody was working.
Yeah.
The productivity of that crew dropped
Yes.
for an hour or two as they figured out all right.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to go through some questions. We're going to hit a Q&A session.
Okay.
All right, we're back. Well, Iceland did not reject Amazon.
No, there is Amazon in Iceland, but no lockers. So
No.
I can take a look and see if they will deliver to the hotel.
It's just an idea. I mean, it's one less thing to worry about.
Yep.
That's what I would do. But I'm not going to Iceland.
I really
I'm gonna
need
hang out
CO2.
here.
A pump is fine.
We are going to do a STBG Q&A.
Did I know about this?
Nope.
Okay.
Here we go.
I guess so.
Some of them you knew, some of you didn't. All right. This one is inspired by conversations we have had at the bike shop
Yes.
with our women's rides, which is, what is the difference between, or how does the average consumer,
Yes.
new rider, not even average, new rider, tell the difference between a mountain bike style bike and a mountain bike and an entry-level mountain bike?
Okay. So and many entry level I'm going to air quote mountain bikes. Okay. Because these are the bikes that I'm going to consider mountain bike style, not true mountain bikes.
Okay.
These have parts that even if you were to look on the manufacturer's website from, say, Shimano, they are not intended to be used on trails other than basically dirt roads.
Okay.
Okay. And so there's actually a category classification that some manufacturers will put on their mountain bikes. There'll be a little sticker.
Oh.
And so it's 1 through, I think, 5. Okay. And that gives you sort of a condition situation of what the bike is intended for. Okay. So I'm going to read, say, like level 5, that would be the highest. So bike category 5. This is a set of conditions for operation of a bicycle that includes conditions 1, 2, 3, and 4, obviously. Extreme jumping or downhill grades on rough trails at speeds in excess of 25 miles per hour. That would be like a downhill bike. Many trail bikes and all mountain bikes and serious mountain bikes are going to be condition 4. Some cross-country bikes may be just conditions 3, so I'll read the middle one here. A set of conditions for operation of a bicycle that includes 1 and 2, as well as rough trails, rough unpaved roads, rough terrain, and unimproved trails that require technical skills, jumps, and drops less than 24 inches. So,
Okay.
serious sort of mountain bikes are going to be 3, 4, or 5.
Okay.
If you look at 1, it's basically operation of a bicycle on regular paved surface where the tires are intended to maintain ground contact. You may find what looks like a mountain bike, and it's condition 1.
Well, that's the big thing, seems to be it's a front fork. I think people, if you look at a bike and it has a front suspension fork
and knobbly tires.
I'm going to use air quotes now.
Flat bar, knobbly tires, and a front suspension
tires.
fork. Yes.
Right. How would you know if that is a mountain bike? I'll throw Lake Trek under the bus. How would you know if that Trek is a mountain bike style bike, perfect for rail trails and not for actual trails, single track, and a mountain bike?
Right.
And you're saying the levels
And the categories, yes, which not all manufacturers are going to provide on a sticker for on the frame.
Okay.
And so the very entry level parts from Shimano so Tourney is their sort of entry level group set.
Okay.
And that is just not made to go off road. It will break very, very quickly. And the funny thing is a lot of what you would think would be strong parts. So parts made of steel in many cases, not aluminum. So the bike, that's because entry level bikes can be a lot heavier because of the use of more steel.
Yep.
It's very often that those steel parts is weaker and will bend easier than aluminum parts.
Okay.
Because the aluminum parts are much more engineered to handle the conditions.
And how about like gearing? Because I know we were looking at a bike that was mountain bike style, and what it had was a 2 in the front,
which is
but then a very little cassette, in the back.
Yeah.
And so just to keep that thing rolling was going to take so much energy. Like you just couldn't climb some of the things that are in the woods.
Certainly not around here. No. No.
Right. So that maybe is something else to look at, is the gearing to know if it's really, ultimately you should be asking. You need to be clear with whoever you're buying the bike from.
Yes.
And say, this is what I'm planning on riding.
And if it does have a sticker, stay away from category 1.
Yes.
Right?
Okay.
You want to look at least for category 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. All right. Another from our women's mountain bike ride. We were talking about keeping our butt off the saddle. What percentage? It was a good conversation. I actually had someone this weekend tell me that he listened to the show and then told one of his friends that he realized one of the reasons he was struggling with mountain biking is he was sitting in his saddle too much. So win for education. I had a rider this week who, when she's going downhill or level pedals, her left foot is always forward. That is her dominant foot, and she's putting pressure on her right foot. That's the one always back. And she's having some pain, so she wants to switch so that she's right-left. Is there any magic trick to doing that? Because
practice.
Yeah.
Practice. Yeah, you had asked me what foot I put forward, and I had to think about it. In fact, my initial thought was actually wrong.
That's right.
Until I got on the bike.
You thought it was your kicking foot.
So I am
be back. What did you think? You thought your kicking foot would be
forward, I think. No? Well,
no,
I am left-handed, but in high school, I was not. I switched my kicking foot from left to right.
Okay.
Because, of course, back in our day in high school, we played a lot of kickball. And I just was not finding the
sport of champions.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Right. And so when I am on a skateboard, I am left foot forward.
Okay.
Okay. But I believe I found out my preference for level pedals on a mountain bike is right foot forward.
Right. And my preference is left foot forward. And my kicking leg is my right leg.
Yeah, but then you switched and you said, well, this feels weird.
It felt horrible.
And I switched and I said, well, this feels no different. So I think I am very ambidextrous in terms of foot forward. It doesn't matter to me.
Yep.
But I can see that being not the case for a lot of people.
It's a good skill to have. I have to practice. So you also talked about the fact that we talked on the last episode about how you lock your legs sometimes when you're going down. And that did make a difference when I tried being right foot forward and then I locked my legs. I thought, oh, this is a little more comfortable, but I could see the muscle memory already. When I swap, I can be left foot forward, right back for hours. At the end of a long downhill day, yes, I feel fatigued.
Yep.
The minute I swapped it, we were on flat. I swapped it. My back left leg was like, no, ouchie. Like it started to fatigue almost immediately. So it was partially the muscles there are not as well defined, developed. When I locked up, yes, I could do it. I could tell I could do it longer. And I definitely see the value of being ambidextrous in my feet.
Yeah,
but I think
that leg locked,
the answer is
that leg locked, that straight leg position where you're sort of sitting very high up on the bike. legs straight, kind of butt back.
Yes.
And that's so you're not using your leg muscles to support your weight. You're basically using your skeleton to support your weight. And this is a way to rest, if you will, while you're riding. And then while we were watching the Women's Mountain Bike World Cup from Andorra this morning, you were like, "Oh, look, they're locking. Oh, look, they're locking. They're locking."
Yeah. I say this all the time. I love watching the women's mountain bike racing. No offense to the dudes, but they just have more finesse. I like watching them for their technique. I like seeing how...
It was a great race.
Oh, it was a great race today, but I remember when I started watching the women's mountain bike racing, and I was like, oh my gosh, they are always pedaling. Or, I mean, not always. Obviously, there are times when they're just going downhill, but they are pedaling more than I was naturally pedaling, and which is similar to cyclocross. That with pedal is power and traction, and they just pedal a ton. They keep light in their pedals, but you can see the different techniques, right? You can see how like Jenny Rizvet is quiet on her bike, centered, and then
Alexandra Keller is just everywhere on her bike.
She is all over her bike. And clearly both are right? They are both champion riders.
And both podiumed.
Yep. It's just fascinating, right? I love watching them, and there are moments you go, oh, okay, wait, that's what he's talking about. Locking, they locked in. It was the end of the ride. They clearly raced. They're clearly fatigued, and they're using that technique to save a little.
Yeah,
energy.
you know where you see it a lot is the flyovers. So
yes.
So there was a particular flyover. They were climbing, and then they had to go up the slope of a flyover, and every single one of them on that final lap was just humping themselves over the lip of that flyover. I mean, you could just tell the fatigue on their legs. And then there's sort of, you make a couple pedal strokes and, and the legs lock because you have to unload those muscles for a minute. And you actually even can go down the back side of the flyover with legs locked because it's nice and smooth and so forth. Because they just needed to take the pressure off their muscles for a few seconds.
Never been a big sports watcher, but maybe it's because I was not a very big sports player, right? Like I didn't play tennis. I don't watch tennis. I didn't play basketball. I don't have a lot of interest in basketball. I mountain bike. I do enjoy watching mountain biking. Not that I think I would, not that I'm like looking at it going, I could totally do that. Absolutely not. I just stand in awe of these women. They're amazing. All right.
What's next?
Here's a bike clothing question from our friend Megan. What's the deal with the little caps road and gravel riders wear under their helmets? I'm always so confused. Do I wear one? Will it make me hot? Keep me warm? Is it a fashion? Will it make me ride faster?
Okay, with no research into this, here is my thought on the caps.
Yes.
So the caps have been around for decades and decades.
Deep history.
They are before helmets.
Yeah,
and
they were
so
helmets.
they were a way to keep the sun off your head. They're an advertising mechanism. The brim on them, which kind of flips up and down, that is a way to keep the rain from going into your eyes if it's raining.
Yep.
And so nowadays, you really rarely see people wear a cycling cap under a helmet. But again, it can help with rain, and it can also help with a little bit of warmth should you have conditions that need that. But otherwise... And they were also made of cotton because, again, they were made 50 years ago.
Wool. They were made with wool.
And wool.
Too. Yep.
So now wool actually is a good wicking material. Cotton is horrible. So you really don't necessarily want to wear a cycling cap under your helmet.
It's. I'm going to contradict you a little bit. I mean, we haven't been to a cyclocross race for a while. I do remember when we were really into cyclocross, those little caps were everywhere. They were pretty popular amongst the cross group, and I suspect they might be popular in the gravel group. I haven't seen many on on road. You're absolutely right. I don't see them as much.
Yep.
I always hated them because I have a gigantic noggin and they never fit me. I mean, I think everyone looks a little ridiculous in them. There's some people look really cute. I'm not one of those people.
So in gravel, I suppose, again, if it's not too hot, but gravel can be very dusty on some of
Yes.
these races and courses, and that's going to keep all of that dirt from going into your hair and your head, and then potentially making you hotter by clogging up your scalp.
Right.
with
Well, that's
dirt.
what I was going to say. I do have one now. So I found a company, I want to say it's called like Walls or something, that they do ones for big heads. They're made of athletic material.
Mm-hmm.
I did wear it one season. I wore it for PMC Unpaved. Our first PMC Unpaved, it was the Amy Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's got that cute.
Mm-hmm.
I found it was really nice for controlling my hair. I get really annoyed with the wispies that come out the side. It was a little rainy that day, so I did have it flipped down,
Mm-hmm.
which was nice. It had a little bit, and it does give you that little bit of shade.
Yep.
But I'm torn on that because it is a lot of extra fabric, and it can pop the helmet up a little bit, which is sometimes annoying. Like it's just a lot of stuff on your face when you've got the helmet, the cap,
Right.
the
Glasses.
glasses,
Mm-hmm.
the buff, whatever else you have going on. But yeah, they're not going to make you faster. They might make you look cooler. You might be able to pull it off, Megan. I can't pull them off. We had a great one from Rafa. We probably have it kicking around somewhere. It was a winter one.
Oh, it was a winter one. It had
Really
ear
cute.
flaps.
It had ear flaps, and it had the
Yes.
stripes, and it had but really the only person who could wear it was Sophie. And she looked adorable in it.
That was a Jeremy Powers Rafa Focus kit one.
Oh yes, because it had those colors.
Yep.
It had their flag. All right, here's a bike maintenance question.
Okay.
I was cruising through some Facebook groups looking for questions, I'll admit.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, the past years riding, I've always just dropped my bike off to the mechanics and said, do whatever is needed and bill me. She has a Trek dual suspension. She posted a picture. It was very pretty.
Okay.
I was traveling 100%, didn't have time to even think. Now life has shifted gears, and I'm curious what people are spending annually on bike maintenance. I'm about to drop off my Trek for almost $2,000 in work, shocks
What?
and dropper overhauled and other stuff. I seem to spend $2,000 to $3,000 a year on maintenance. Wondering if this is normal. Thank you in advance. Now, she did reveal later in her conversation, she rides that bike 8 to 10 hours a week. She rides a lot.
Yeah.
Somebody said in response, there was a lot of responses, nothing consistent, but my bike mechanic told me I should expect to spend at least $1,000 a year on bike maintenance and service my shock and dropper post once a year. The cost is $560. I live in the Pacific Northwest and ride 1 to 5 hours a week. $2,000 a year to maintain my mountain bike seems like a lot, so I thought I would ask you what your initial reaction was, which of course you already gave me.
I did already give you, didn't I?
What?
Yes. What? Yeah. That was a spontaneous response.
Somebody else was like, $2,000 a year. You could just not service it for 3 years and get a new bike, right? Like,
So that's absolutely right. Yeah,
Okay.
I suppose that does. I haven't thought about it like that either, but that's crazy. I think that's a crazy amount of money.
okay.
I don't even not just from my general understanding of the industry standard pricing of most things, I can't even see how you can come up with that much money.
Right. I want
in
you
maintenance.
to think about a high-end dual suspension mountain bike.
Yeah.
Someone who rides it all the time,
Yep.
all year.
Yep.
What do you think would be a...
I don't know how often they're going through chains.
Okay.
I do know that some shops are like, oh, you need a change, so you need a new cassette. And of course you don't if you keep up on your chains.
Yeah, actually, that's the whole point of
And
replacing the chains is to...
SRAM, like Eagle cassettes, are expensive. And let's say she has a very nice bike with maybe an EXO cassette. That's a $450
Okay.
cassette.
Okay.
Right? So that starts to add up if that's what they're saying, which is not the case. But
Right.
and then the shock work, that's only the rear shock just basically gets seals and fluid, say, every year.
Okay.
All right. And there's part of the thing now that is if it's not leaking, if the seals aren't leaking, you're good to go, and you don't need to do the damper in the rear shock all the time. All right, unless that goes. But let's say you're just doing that. Though that service is quick and easy. I mean, and usually that is under, let's just say 70. for including the seals.
Okay.
And then the fork, just the normal 50-hour service. So I don't know how often she's taking it in for that. That service is usually under 100. And then even if it needed like the damper seals and all that kind of stuff, you're still under two. Like, I just don't see how this is adding up to $2,000. Yeah. I mean, even including all the sort of tune-up labor time and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yep.
I was just curious. I wanted to hear.
Can I see somebody spending $1,000 a year on maintenance who rides a full suspension mountain bike and is all the time? Yeah, I guess that's potentially yes.
Okay. If they don't
I
do
will
anything
also say that
either.
some people, they don't do anything themselves. That's true. If they don't do anything themselves. It is also the case where some people are way harder on their bikes than others, and that can affect things.
We've talked about that. We've talked about that if you are maybe a newer generation rider, maybe you started with the good stuff, right? That you might be having the bike do more of the work than your body is doing, and so you're bashing it against things, right? And so you might be breaking more things than someone who's a gentler rider or has better body English does. Yep. Right? But that's not normal maintenance. That's
no. There's
shit.
also the pivot points, so all the pivot bearings on a full suspension bike. And that's that is not a quick service. It's not all that pricey. But it's, again, that's a case where it's as needed.
Yes.
Right? So that's
it's not automatic. You don't automatically replace the pivot.
No, if I were a race mechanic and I had a professional racer that I was looking after, yes, I would be looking at those bearings very often, but they don't go bad quickly or easily.
Okay.
So, because they only rotate fractions of a millimeter. A pivot bearing in a frame doesn't make a full rotation. It only just rocks back and forth just a little bit. Okay. And so it actually takes more contamination that gets in through the seals over time to make them go bad rather than use. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like, as I say, it seemed like a lot. Some of the responses were just interesting. All over the board on whether or not that they thought that was normal or not normal. All right, those are all my questions I had. Would you like to talk about the scene while scrolling? It's driving me crazy.
We have been mentioning and talking and just sort of circling around this 32-inch wheeled mountain bike situation. And
it's never going to happen, Kristin. Don't worry about it.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you said.
No, I said I don't want it to happen.
Okay. Maybe I just interpreted it.
And here we have, it was some bike company. I don't know if I've heard of.
It was no. It was BMC.
Oh, it was BMC.
Yeah.
Okay, so BMC.
I saw it on LinkedIn.
They posted a 32-inch wheeled mountain bike that they were testing at Andorra World Cup this weekend. It was not in the race, but they said they were sort of testing it on the side. So probably had a couple professional riders riding the course and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I think I mentioned this is going to come because it's a way for mountain bike companies to sell new mountain bikes. That is the only reason why.
I'm so mad.
And there are way more shorter riders who cannot find a bike that fits properly on 29 because of the frame design than there are tall riders who need bigger wheels.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying if you want to sell more stuff to get more people on bikes, then come up with a better bike for shorter people.
They're out there. But a lot of companies ignore it.
They're ignoring. I'm just saying, if you're looking for, I'm going to put my marketing hat on here. If you're looking for a audience to grow, to sell more bicycles, it is not tall people. It is shorter people, right? Make them more comfortable. And I'm not even just talking women. We just had a rider at the shop the other day, and he's 5'8". So he's not short.
Oh, yes.
But he has a
very short legs. And long torso.
Yes, exactly. And it is outrageous to me that the industry is focused on going that way and not the other way.
Yeah, and two different brands. Even he technically because of his torso, he needed a medium, but Even the small, 2 different brands that I looked at possible for him, both were too tall.
And I mean, this is someone who wants to buy a bike from us, but I said to him, please think about this really carefully because I cannot have you cursing us every time you get off this bike.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can't. You have to be comfortable. You have to feel like you can. I remember speaking with one of the women about this. You need to feel like you can get off this bike quickly without concern that you're going to smack your hoo-ha. Right. So like, because otherwise you won't be safe. You won't be safe because you won't feel like you can just jump off the bike.
These 32-inch wheel mountain bikes, to be clear, they're going to be marketed towards us, right? I started out on a 26. I skipped over the 27.5, and and now I'm not 29.
Oh, did you?
So now
you never did plus tires?
27.5 was 10% over 26. 29 is 10% over 27.5, and now 32 is 10% over 29. And so it is going. Yes, taller riders will have a benefit, but it is going to be marketed towards the standard rider and saying all the things that they said about 29s, that the more rollover it has, it's going.
Those things may be true.
Yep.
I get it. It just annoys me that we have a problem. We're going not in the wrong. Do both then. If the whole idea is that you want to come up with something cool to sell, then go for the larger audience, because it's not just shorter people. I don't know the average height of people, so I'm not going to tell you like on average people are shorter, but tall kids, right? We reach a point with children, teenagers, where they're like between, they're too big for kids bikes, too small.
4 foot, let's call it like 4'8", 4'9" to 5 foot. That range right there is so tough. When parents with kids or very short adults,
yes,
that is such an impossible
But let's
size.
just talk about those parents with kids. If you can fit that need, then that is a future rider forever. But if they can't find a bike at that age, that size, they could be done, which means we've lost a potential future rider. Okay. Just saying.
Yeah, and what's going to happen then is that these companies are all going to come out with 32-inch wheel bikes, and then 3, 4, 5 years, they'll be like, well, that geometry was junk. We were just getting it right. That was the start of our 32-inch. Here, this one's much better. Now buy this one. This is going to be the trend. This is going to be the way they just can't want to keep selling bikes. Yep.
I guess that's it for this week. A couple of other notes. We've started raising money for our PMC unpaved.
Yes.
Which benefits the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. So we'll have links to those if you want to help Steve in particular, because he's behind me, man. I've taken the whole shot.
I don't like asking for money, and so I am very bad at fundraising.
There reaches a point with it where it's like, I'm giving money to you,
and you're giving money to me. I know. And
it does feel a little. It's hard, but there's that going on. And in fact, while we're speaking of the PMC, they released the safety video.
Yes, which features Kristin quite a bit.
Me and my crooked helmet. So we'll share a link to
Not in every scene, but there was just a little crooked in some of the shots.
Is always crooked. I don't know.
I think you have a misshaped head.
I have a pointy head.
I have
an off-balance head. I don't know exactly. Let's wrap this up. Cycling Together with Kristin Steve is a production of Steve the Bike Guy, an independent bicycle shop in Eastern Massachusetts, and Sundin Marketing. If you like the show, please leave a review or share with a friend. And for show notes, links, or to leave a comment, question, or topic suggestion, please visit cyclingtogether.bike. You can follow the shop on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and now on TikTok, because why not, at Steve the Bike Guy. Thank you for joining the ride. All right, see you next time.